Wow, it's really amazing to see so many people coming into the Six Screens Telenetwork tonight. We want to thank you all for wanting to spend some time with us here this night. My name's Rick Farron. I'm coming to you from the apostate capital of the world, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts. And I'm just going to mute some people here. We got some people that are not unmuted. We got a lot of people coming in tonight. So let me just go back and I'm just going to mute some people. Now, how it works here, folks, we have people call in from all over, and you could really help me out a lot if you would don't speak up. Uh, speak up. To speak up, you have to unmute your phone. You hit *6. And then what you do is when you're done talking, hit *6 again. And please don't have YouTube on or television in the background because it picks up on that. The callers really want to hear you. They really want to hear a nice, clear transmission. It makes it so much better. So please help me with that because it does take a lot of time to kind of go through. I'm trying to do the news. I'm looking to see who's. I'll get the YouTube one in the background. So help me with that. If you could just remember, write it down. To speak up, unmute yourself, hit *6. When you're done, hit *6 again. Or use the microphone on your telephone. But mute yourself because other than that, we hear dishes clanking and dogs barking and all kinds of issues going on. So help me with that because as we grow in this program here, we're getting more and more people coming in every week and they want a nice, clear reception. So you could really help me and save me a lot of work at the Six Screens if you really would do that for me. Because I'm the only one here. Right? Susan helps me on the radio network and she monitors that. But I'm the only one in this room here working with 6 computers sometimes. And trying to get all of this done at once is kind of difficult. So please help me with that. But anyways, we're glad you're with us tonight. Well, we know what the big elephant in the room was this week. Wow. It just, a lot of people, I'll tell you, I got emails, people calling me up. They were in tears, really. They couldn't handle it. What took place this week was a grave injustice, in my estimation. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about it in just a little while. That is what we'll be spending some time with tonight. I also wanted to spend a little time with a lot of layoffs right now at Bethel. Not only in Warwick, but pretty much all over the world. Now we're getting word in from Brazil that the Watchtower branch over there, from what I can understand, I can't confirm it yet, but we do understand the Brazil branch of Jehovah's Witnesses are evidently going broke. But I can't confirm that. That's just been coming across here from some information people have been sharing with me. I haven't had a chance to get in and listen to it. But anyways, let me give you an idea here what is going on in Bethel right now. And I want to thank the people that gave me this information today. Thank you very much for all the people that send me news here. This is like a news clearinghouse. So I want to thank all those people that are keeping me right up to date on what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. So let's just give you an idea here. I got information last day or so concerning downsizing at Warwick and pretty much all across the world, but we'll focus right now just on Warwick. That I do know and that I can confirm. But what we have here, I got some information from a person that was telling me that he has cousins that spent 20 years in Warwick. And they've been asked now to move to Washington State. Now, apparently, the husband is going to be working remotely. Now, that's a word that we're hearing a lot of in the Watchtower. Remotely. A lot of the full-time Bethelites have been let go, and they're now working remotely. They can work from their home. So the society had a job for the brother here that was there for 20 years, but his wife, who also spent 20 years at Warwick, well, she's out of work. She's out of work. And these two people, by the way, I can't really share where they were. I was asked not to do that in Bethel, what jobs they had. But let me put it this way to you. They had high-ranking jobs. They were up the food chain in the society. And I'm surprised. I'm really surprised that they're letting people of that caliber go and work remotely. The Watchtower can get work done remotely, just like a lot of big corporations right now doing. They're getting work done to people in their homes, even when you call some of your credit card companies or even the phone company. Sometimes you talk to a person and they'll say, well, you hear a baby crying in the background. And the person will say, gee, I'm working from my home. So a lot of people are doing that. So the Watchtower loves this remote workers. I mean, let's think about it. One less person to house, one less person to feed, one less person to be concerned with, healthcare, what have you. So I can see what's going on at the Watchtower. So now we're seeing that many locations, many kingdom halls that we've been talking here for the last 20 years, mostly in the last 10 years, of kingdom halls consolidating. But we also have downsizing, where we know a lot of the witnesses now, they're printing their own publications online. The Watchtower is trying to really cut corners here. A lot of money is going out. We know that. Cash, I'm going to say, I think it's starting to really be of concern to the Watchtower with all of the lawsuits. I mean, really, even if you have millions and even billions of dollars, which the Watchtower doesn't have. I mean, they have millions in cash, I'm sure, but they don't have billions in cash. Billions would be in their real estate assets. So cash could be tight because of all these lawsuits that are coming up against the Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, Watchtower, as we know, the one thing they will take, and they will bring them into Bethel in a heartbeat, into Warwick at the world headquarters, is lawyers. They're constantly looking for Jehovah's Witness lawyers to come and be with them at the world headquarters. And they can help them with all these lawsuits. But think about it. How many Jehovah's Witness men and women are lawyers? That would have required a good amount of schooling. And Watchtower people, Jehovah's Witnesses, were not allowed to even go to extra schooling after high school. So the pickings are thin when it comes to lawyers for the Watchtower. Now, Watchtower, how many times in the past, and I mean, we've talked about this on the Sixth Range years ago, the internet was known as being a demonizing instrument. It was actually an agent of Satan. Now, I don't know if they actually said that, but they did say that, it was demonizing, it was evil. And why was that, you think? The Watchtower, well, I mean, we always said the internet was the great equalizer. It was showing people the truth about the truth. And now the Watchtower has made a complete reversal. Now the Watchtower is developing their online technology, and they're really embracing it. They're trying to do everything they can to get that jw.org and all of their internet broadcasting. There's the live streaming, their videos. They're really, really embracing the internet. Now, all of this information I'm getting, and again, I thank the people for giving it to me, but I wanted to talk also about another couple who was just let go at Warwick. And we've talked about this before. The Watchtower is very cruel, and they don't do much for people at all that spend so much time, so much of their life giving their royal work, their loyal concern about the Watchtower. Now the Watchtower is cutting them loose. Now, this one particular Bethelite, wait till you hear this. Wait till you hear this. One Bethelite who actually was recruited 20 years ago and went to Bethel. Now, this Bethelite, I was told not to give too much information about this man, but he had a professional license with the Watchtower. Now, I don't know what that license was, but that license was much needed by the Watchtower. And he was on the staff, high up on the staff, for the construction projects around the world for the Watchtower organization. Now, he was just informed, just in the last couple of weeks here, he was just informed that his services are no longer required. Oh, my goodness. 20 years working for the Watchtower. They call you in. Brother, your services are no longer required. Now, he didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes the Watchtower will let a person go pretty abruptly because they committed some type of a wrong against the Watchtower. This brother didn't do anything wrong. He's still an active Jehovah's Witness elder. And at least for now, that's what he is. But he was sent out of there, not to a new assignment. Now, many of these Bethelites, they're being sent to a new assignment. That this poor brother, they cut him loose, no new assignment. And I mean, he is as, let me put it this way, he is as out of work right now. I'm sure he'll get a job. But Watchtower we don't need you anymore here at Watchtower, but thanks for years of your service. Now, can you imagine that? 20 years. That would hurt. I mean, even though it might be somewhat freedom for you, I mean, 20 years of working for someone, someplace, pretty much the same, and cut loose, that hurts. That's just a hard thing to wrap your head around, okay? So these downsizings, layoffs, whatever you want to call them, they've been going on now, for a decade. And we've been talking about them here on the 6 screens, but this is really drastic. That's why I wanted to bring it up tonight. Now, we talked about the announcement that was made several months back on the 6 screens, and it really upset a lot of people. And the announcement that we talked about was the announcement that the Jehovah's Witness organization, Watchtower, a few months back, they were saying that Bethel is no longer being a lifetime assignment. And it should be a wake-up call for all those at Bethel right now. If you're listening into the program and you are at Bethel, you have friends that are at Bethel, I mean, it's a wake-up call. Their days could be numbered. And all of you folks that are there, or you have relatives that are at Bethel, try to prepare them. Try to make them mentally prepared with a plan. You have to have a plan. You could be let go anytime, like this man I was just talking about. Now, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, but I think you'll agree with me. And I'm thinking about the pioneers in the congregations. Well, they're struggling to make ends meet, but I believe they're a lot better off than dismissed Bethelites. And I'll tell you why. At least these pioneers are established and functioning in the real world. Now, many people out there pioneered, right? And you were able to still have a little part-time job. Some even work full-time. So, the pioneers, at least they are established and they can kind of move right into the functioning world if they quit pioneering. But that's not the case. That's not the case with Bethelites. Dismissed Bethelites, well, they never worked really, when you stop and think about it, other than the Watchtower. They're not really into functioning in the real world. They really are not ready to hit the pavement running with a job. And now we have a weakened economy. I mean, imagine, look at gasoline, folks, $4.39 a gallon. I have never seen gas. It's not quite that high here in Mass, but it's it's 410, 420, but I did see 439. So I've never seen gas that high in my life. What, in goodness name's sake, is a man or a woman that's let go from Watchtower after serving many years there? What are they going to do? Now, never mind buying a car. How are they going to afford to even put gas in the car? So, a weakened economy. Thank you very much, Watchtower. Getting kicked to the curb at a very, very bad time. So, it's what I'm thinking here. I stay awake at night, many nights, and I wonder what's really going on. All you folks are wondering too, what is really going on with the Watchtower? I'm just thinking out loud. I think they're trying to create a new elite special class of Bethelites to live and work off of the premise of these complexes. So I just want to bring that. Someone want to say something? Go ahead. You're on.
Hey, Rick.
Yes. Yes.
The reason why they're getting rid of all the Bethelites is maybe they're switching to AI doing everything, possibly.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's definitely a good part of it. I did have a professor of a college get a hold of me not too long ago, and she's a former Jehovah's Witness, and she's an AI professor. And she wrote to me. In fact, she was going to try to get up to that convention and give a talk we had last summer, but she's been in contact with me since. And she is an AI professor at a college. I believe it's down south somewhere. It was the University of Kentucky, but she just went to another college, I think in Texas somewhere. But she was telling me that the Watchtower is using AI extensively. Really, a lot of
I'm thinking
yeah.
maybe yes, a lot of businesses are using AI as well. I'm wondering because now you can use AI agents, and those agents can do pretty much anything any business can do. So I'm thinking maybe Watchtower will be using that instead of actual human beings.
Well, I'm sure that's a good part of it. Even writing a lot of their articles, the writing department. I mean, AI can write for you now. I mean, you have to give them some basic information, but AI will write it for you. And all Watchtower has to do is take out the parts that AI speaks as being truthful and just tell a lie. And the Watchtower knows how to do that, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, well, thank you, thank you. Now listen, we
Did you get that email where I sent you a link to some songs I had put together?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, in fact, we'll get it. Won't be able to play them tonight, but maybe we're putting a little apostates got talent together here, and we'll play it on that program, Donald. But thank you for sending it to me. Yep,
Okay.
good. Thank you. So, anyways, we talked about the Bethelites being dismissed. We say the pioneers is going to have an easier time than the Bethelites, but I'm thinking it might be the worst. Now, I'm just got thinking here. I think it's the worst for missionaries to be dismissed. I've heard some pretty bad horror stories about missionaries being dismissed from the Watchtower, and you want to talk about falling through the net? These guys are getting crushed. Well, let me tell you this. In fact, I do have information. Again, I want to thank the people who give me this information. I really do. I appreciate it. We get a lot of news comes in here, and they help me a lot being able to disseminate and put the news out there. So, anyways, I get information from some people here that, well, their friend was a missionary, and they were living for 10 or more years in a third world country. Now, how would you like to live in a third world country? Do you know what I'm talking about here? I mean, you must have. I mean, a place where you don't have good water, you don't have good septic systems, urines running in the street. I mean, there's some places in the world are pretty bad. Places I'm sure over there in Indonesia and Bangladesh and places like that. It's very difficult to live there. But this missionary couple for the Watchtower, they were in a third world country, and they they actually alienated themselves from the real world when they went there. I mean, it was a strange world that they found themselves in, but they were willing to put up with it for the Watchtower for more than 10 years. They were loyal witnesses that wanted to serve where the need was great. Now, what happened is the Watchtower just a couple of months ago came to them and said, we don't need you in that position anymore. Uh, we're going to cut you loose. Now, this is also hard for these people. Now, you're there and you're getting a stipend amount of money from the Watchtower. And now they say, well, we're going to let you go. We don't need missionaries in this country anymore. So, what they did is they gave these missionaries who served 10 years for the Watchtower, they gave them 3 months special pioneer allowance. And yeah, they get 3 months. Now, I don't know what it would be, but I would expect it would be 3 months. I would expect $1,000 a month is what they would be getting because I got some more news to share with you about Watchtower money to missionaries and what have you. But I would say in this particular case, they were making $1,000 a month. So they gave them 3 months special pioneer allowance and expected them to pay it back. Now, I've heard this before. It wasn't really giving you, I'm just using the figure here, $3,000 a month, but it was a loan is what it was. It wasn't, here's a gift for you.
Is that enough to get back to the States?
Well, I'll get to that in a second. So anyways, they these pioneers, this pioneer couple. I mean, so they got. I'm just saying $3,000. That's what when the information was shared with me is around that amount. So let's go with that. So also they gave him a ticket back to the States. They got him back here, but they had to pay it back. Now this is not the first time. Even in my local congregation, right here in Wilmington, Massachusetts, when I was a witness, there was a young, beautiful young couple who wanted to give their total loyalty to Watchtower. So they wanted to be missionaries in India. So they made it. We had a big going off party for them. Everyone was rooting for them. And off to India they went. And they were there for about 2 years. And then the young woman, I should say, the young woman, she came down with a severe sinus infection, and she just couldn't be a missionary anymore. She kept having to go into the emergency room in India. Probably wasn't much of an emergency room at the time, but she had to go in there, and she was just so sick she couldn't pioneer. So the Watchtower says, okay, we're going to send you back to the States. We'll pay for you to get back there. And they needed $7,000 for a sinus operation. $7,000. So the Watchtower says, well, we'll loan you the money. So they loaned them the money for the operation. I believe also for the airfare back, but they expect to get that back. Now, have you heard stories like that? I mean, that was right from the horse's mouth. They came back and they told us what happened. And how would you feel like that? How would you feel? You give up a couple of years of your life to go to India. Who, in goodness name sakes, wants to go to India? I mean, I'm not picking on India, but I'd rather be here, to be honest with you. So they go over to India, and the wife gets sick, and now you're on the hook for probably $10,000. And thank you, Watchtower. And I bet you they're still paying that loan back today. I bet you even with interest. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but knowing the Watchtower, I mean, I would think they probably are charging interest. But now here's what I want to share with you. This you're going to find very fascinating because it was shared with me this week, and I didn't know this before. But what the Watchtower is doing right now is they are actually giving these dismissed missionaries and dismissed Bethelites, they're giving them rental allowance. Now, you heard that right from me. They are giving rental allowance. Now, that's a new term. I'm not too familiar with that, but that's the term that was used by the people sharing this with me. And the society is providing this rental allowance. Now, what I'm thinking here is the Watchtower all of a sudden getting this soft spot, rental allowance. That's generally not the case. We've had many Bethelites come on this program, and none of them have told me they got a rental allowance. But let me give you some figures here. I guess at the bottom level, they're getting $1,000 a month. That's what the society, from what I gather here, from the information that's been shared with me, it could be a little more, a little less. But the average, run-of-the-mill Bethelite, been there for, I don't know if there's a qualification for years or not, but they're going to get $1,000 a month. Now, that's not going to go too far today. You'd be lucky to get a room up here in Massachusetts, and I think most places in the country right now, I think you'd be lucky to get a room with a shared bathroom for $1,000 a month. And then they with that couple, by the way, that we're talking about, and we're spending a lot of years. All these people have spent years, so there might be a criteria for this rental allowance. Now, I've heard that rental allowance goes anywhere from $1,000 a month up to $1,600 a month. So they're hoping, basically, what they're hoping here for. Now, I don't know how long that goes on. It could only be. It could just be for a short while. In fact, I heard here, now I can't, don't take it to the bank and cash it, but I heard the Watchtower is willing to work with them for a good part of a year. Now, whether that's the truth or not, I don't know. It seems a little more generous than what I would think the Watchtower would do for them. But now they're getting that amount of money, $1,000 a month, to upwards of 1,600 a month is what I've heard. Now, what I'm thinking here, and not thinking, but have been told, now out of that money the Watchtower is giving them for their rental allowance, they also have to provide their own food, their own transportation, and of course their own health care. So that's something I wanted to share with you guys as well. So anyways, do I have any idea about how many people are leaving Warwick right now? Uh, how many people is Bethel Warwick letting go? So the number that I've got to share with you here tonight is in the last 2 or 3 months, there's about 700 that have been dismissed, or at least they're on the chopping block to be dismissed. Now, the organization is constantly telling you how great they are. I mean, they have every bit of information coming off of jw.org that constantly is they're bragging about themselves, constantly boasting about Jehovah's organization and how it's growing. But when you're laying this kind of people off, 700 people, and you got we're just hearing here coming into the news here tonight about Brazil. Now, whether that's true or not, that they're running out of cash. Is this a cash thing? I mean, we talked about maybe AI is taking over, but it's going to be a cash thing too. It's very expensive. Even though these Bethelites don't make much money, they still it still costs. You got to house them. You have to give them food. You got to give them some stipend amount of money. So, Watchtower, as much as they're talking about growth and how wonderful Jehovah's organization is, can you see the writing on the wall here? The Watchtower is one lying, deceitful organization, and you're only going to hear the good side from them. But what us apostates can do, and we're all doing a pretty good job. Really, all the apostates on YouTube, myself, but not just me. I always want to say that the team we have here, this is the Six Screens team. This team works hard to expose the real truth behind the Watchtower organization. And I'm getting more reports. I'm not even going to go into all the reports I got as I'm speaking here. I get reports coming in, but there's a lot of people that are disgruntled about the Watchtower. I'll give you one more. That I think you'll find fascinating, because this one has to do with a circuit overseer. Now, a circuit overseer, they had a privileged position. I mean, they walked around sometimes with their nose in the air, right? Oh man, everyone always looked up to the circuit overseer. But now we have information coming in here, and it's just breaking here. Just got the information. It's concerning a circuit overseer who also was a Bethelite and a missionary. Now that's quite a position. A circuit overseer who's also a Bethelite. He also was a missionary, and he was a lifelong elder, you could say. And he's now really willing to step out. Maybe we can get him on the program. I'd love to do that. He's now willing to step out, and he's willing to give us advice. And what he's saying here is, take what the society says with a grain of salt. Now, he has a lot to say about the Watchtower, right? Take what the society says with a grain of salt. Follow what they do. Invest in real estate and make long-range plans. So he's saying that's what they do, right? They're making plans. They don't want you to make plans. So this ex-circuit overseer, missionary, lifelong elder, and Bethelite, he says, take the society says with a grain of salt. Invest in real estate and make long-range plans, just like the Watchtower. Well, it takes money to invest in real estate. And, sad to say, all of us listening into this program tonight, we all had an opportunity when we were younger, didn't we, huh? To really work more hours, spend more time at work, make more money, not in a materialistic way, but all of us had an opportunity to make more money, that we could have bought real estate. We could have bought property. And that property today would be worth a whole lot of money, a lot more than, say, 30, 40 years ago. But that was robbed from so many of us Jehovah's Witnesses. We gave a lot of our time, in fact, most of our time, to the Watchtower and our loyalty and our money and our resources. But look at the money we lost. I can't even I can't even imagine. I think about this sometimes. I say to myself, now I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, and I was a loyal witness and followed all their directions. And you know what? I had many good jobs, and I'm thinking I could have even worked more time to be able to save more money, to be able to have a better retirement plan. And many witnesses lost out on that idea because they could never make the extra money. So now they're really feeling the real pain of being involved with the Watchtower organization. Oh, I'll tell you, there's a lot of people, I'm sure, disgruntled about this. So, anyone out there got any thoughts on this? Go ahead and hit *6.
Right.
Yes, go ahead.
Are you ready?
Yes.
It's Zachary. It's a funny thing. Some years back, I told a Peony, I said something like, hear what they say, but do what they do, as far as finances is concerned. Because the Watchtower does seem to watch their back and make decisions that look at the future. But as far as this rent allowance, I've never heard of that either. But I think that what's happening here is that same thing. They're not closing out, but they're dying down. They're kind of cutting back on operations, so to speak. They probably don't have the kind of money they used to have coming in because, for one, they no longer have the Watchtower and the wakes the way they used to have. And, you know, people placing them for a contribution or what they changed to a donation. That's probably part of it. This rental allowance is one way that they can cut on costs, because it's cheaper to give someone an allowance. And those people getting allowances probably do have to work. This is probably to supplement their rent. It's cheaper to give them an allowance than to have a place where they live and you feed them and you do all the things you do for a Bethelite or a missionary. And the missionaries, they used to, what I understand is they lived in missionary homes in whatever land they were in. And they had a similar sort of a routine similar to the Bethel routine. I remember there was a missionary couple that was sitting at our table, and they got assigned to St. Kitts. And I remember asking the wife, they were from England, Great Britain, and I can say the first names, Bruce and Regina, and they were going to St. Kitts. And the wife said, you know, in a missionary home, they get cooking duties. So they rotate the days for duties, but there was only going to be the couple. And I remember asking them about that. And the wife said, well, basically, I'm going to be the one cooking. So my basic point is it's cheaper to give someone an allowance than to set them up and have to worry about food and everything else.
Well, there you go.
I think the actuaries are out there figuring out the numbers. They're trying to cut down on the number of people they're responsible for. I'm sure they'll be responsible for people who are over age. They'll take care of them, and they're doing the numbers, I'm sure.
Well, there you go. In fact, I have to say that you're right on with that. So, yeah, because you'll say by not having to feed them and house them, but also they're looking at what would happen if they didn't pay them. I mean, they're still going to get them. They're still going to work. That story I gave you of the couple coming back and they're going out of Bethel and Warwick. They're going out to Washington State. The man, the brother, he's still going to be working remotely for the Watchtower, like I say. So in the long run, they probably figure, like you just said, okay, we'll pay them the 3,000, 10,000, whatever they're going to give them to leave. But in the long run, they won't be there, and they're going to save money. I mean, they've got accountants here to figure this stuff out. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no way that they need the kind of labor that they had before. The factory operations can't possibly be what they used to be, because they even, when they were still doing full watchtowers, I remember visiting in 2002, I think it was. It may have, yeah, I think it was around 2002, April 2002. And a lot of the machines were much smaller. They were much more efficient. They were doing just as much work. There was a lot less to see because there weren't these big giant machines doing all this moving. Everything was kind of reduced. The hardware was reduced in size, and they were still doing the same amount of work, but you didn't need as many people. So you can say what you want about AI, but I don't think that's the major part of it. I really do think that even if there were no AI, they would be downsizing. The first time I remember them doing the major downsizing was around the year 2005, 2007. And that's when you heard a lot of talk about it. And I think around 2007 is when they were actually doing it. There was this downsizing happening. What I understood from Bethelites who were still there in the early 2000s and the late 1990s is they did start to operate more on a sort of corporate level. They became real efficient with everything they did. They had people reviewing stuff. So I think that continues, but there's a lot of downsizing going on.
Well, there you go. Well, I'm with you, Zach, and I'm glad you could chime in and bring us up to speed on your thoughts. Being a former Bethelite yourself, it's a different way of doing business there now than when you were there. Thank you, Zach. Well, you're on JW World News.
Hello, this is Grace.
Hi, Grace.
I wanted to mention about this big complex they are building in Warwick. And I'm thinking about letting go of all these Bethelites, just a new 700 the last couple of months. And did they know this before they planned Warwick? Or are they going to downsize Warwick now? Because they won't need as many big complexes if lots of people are not going to live there anymore. So that's just a thought from me. Thank you.
Well, my thoughts on that. Well, thank you for bringing that up. But I think you're talking about the Ramapo project in Ramapo, New York, where that big video studio, that multimedia studio, is being built. It's be the largest complex the Watchtower has up in that area, and of course they're going to do video film. But a lot of housing is going to also take place. You have a lot of people in the Watchtower right now that are mucky mucks. They've been there for many years and they know people in the right places. And these guys are getting old and they can see the handwriting on the wall. So they're disguising this video center, media center, I'm sure, making it sound bigger than it is. But if you think about it, I believe there's 600 rooms in this new complex at Ramapo. And these rooms are dormitories. They're bedrooms. They're like little apartments. And so, it's only obvious to believe that these are going to be for the mucky mucks. And, this is a way to really be able to bring your own people in and, have a gay old time together and retire in a nice upstate New York apartment with beautiful scenery. And you got some studio there for making videos. But I think that's really what their game plan is. And they're not going to need these are going to be older Bethelites. They have to do something with them. Look, if you had a company, Grace, if you had a company and for many, many years, and you really had some people working with you that you really favored and liked, you really liked them. They they were your good buddy. You got to do something for them. I mean, this is how the real world works. So we got to help you out. We just can't kick it to the curb. Now, all these other people that never really got to know anybody at Watchtower, never really, you know, satisfied anybody's real needs there, they get kicked to the curb. But all these other ones that are the Bucky Bucks, I call them, well, they're going to get a good position. And what do you think? What do you think? Go
Hey,
ahead.
Rick,
Yeah.
on that same subject. Okay, go back to Brooklyn before they moved to Warwick even. And when they were in Brooklyn, they had properties that were kind of scattered. You had the factory complex, which they had buildings 1 through 6. So that was, you know, a large complex. And then you had the office complex, which is the 25 Columbia Heights and 30 Columbia Heights and 58 Columbia Heights, all those. And that was in a slightly different area. Then you kind of walk more and you get to the homes, the old one, the 124, the 107, the Towers building. There was a Margaret, which was new, all those things. The Bossert, the Standish Towers, or whatever they called it now. And then even you keep going, I think itself, you end up at the 360 Furman complex, which was a huge complex, almost as large as the factory complex when it was just the 4 buildings. And that was for shipping. So you had all these complexes in Brooklyn right at the East River, which is expensive real estate. And so to sell that and to move to Warwick, that in itself is a sort of downsizing, it would seem. So I do think there's been this great downsizing that's been going on for a while.
Well, Zach,
It was right in front of us, but we didn't see it yet.
well, they saw it. See, they can see the handwriting on the wall. They see it now too. They really see it now. These governing body members, they walk around like, you know, like little kings, but they know what's happening. They're seeing it. They're seeing their organization erode. They're seeing it really becoming a lot smaller than it used to be. Yep.
Well, here's the thing to remember. Again, this is governing body 3.0 starting. With Brother Loesch, he was the first new one. All the old ones are dead. They've all died. The ones who made the decisions about all the stuff that we had in Brooklyn, that was under that old governing body. You may have new groups of people who are more astute when it comes to money and the need for downsizing. Not to be ignored is the fact that just the whole publishing industry has changed. And so a little less newsprint and a lot more electronic stuff, even without AI, that has changed. But this new governing body, they may see things very differently from the old ones, Brother Fred Franz and Lyman Swingle and Schroeder and Barr and Barber and Sidlick and Jarrett and Henschel. These new guys, they may see things very differently because they're probably also doctrinally realizing that they've had a problem with timing the end of the system.
Well, they're the ones that are eating crow right now. Really, all these old guys you just mentioned, they're the ones that said that we weren't supposed to be here by now. We were supposed to be in the new system. So you got these cronies there now that, geez, they got egg on their face. They're trying to, manipulate and maneuver things so that they don't look that bad. But even not just the ex-witness world looks at these guys and say, what a bunch of buffoons. But even many witnesses, Zach, many witnesses are starting to doubt what's going on. They're looking at these guys and saying, what are these people representing Jehovah? They can't believe it. Well, thank you, Zach. Thank you very much. Well, there you have it. Well, Zachary's an ex-Bethelite, and of course he can see the changes taking place. It's not the same organization. This is not your grandfather's organization anymore. I'll tell you that. It's altogether different. Well, let's talk let's talk about the big elephant in the room. I mean, I think that's what everybody wants to talk about tonight. And I kind of left it to talk about here after an hour or so into the program because a lot of people, I want to get some people coming in from the West Coast too, which we're getting right now because remember now we're here on the East Coast and they're 3 hours behind. But we really were disappointed. The ex-witness world was greatly disappointed this week. I got calls, I got emails, I got people are really concerned about what happened in Norway. And we all have our own thoughts on it. We all feel like, man, that was not fair what Norway did. And every one of the ex-witnesses, I'm sure, will agree that it wasn't. In the Watchtower, they actually won against the charges that were brought against them in Norway. And we'll get into that and give you a little insight on what really did take place. But what's of interest here is Jehovah's Witnesses, the Watchtower, they won the money. Really, they won millions of dollars. They had all their court costs paid for, but their reputation is in the toilet. So they got the money, but their reputation's in the toilet. And we'll give you a little rundown on what actually came down in Norway. But before I give you what Watchtower is saying on their website, when I got into all of this about Norway and the decision, and I remember back in 2021, we talked about it here on the Six Screens. There was a talk that David Splain, governing body member, he talked about powerful by faith. That was the theme for the 2021 district regional convention of Jehovah's Witnesses. So it was to put up a hard fight for the faith. It just fits perfectly for what just happened in Norway. And I got thinking about this, and it does. It really kind of irritates me a little bit. But David Splain, in that update on jw.org back in 2021, and it became a convention talk, he spends 25 minutes on this talk warning members, that is, warning Jehovah's Witnesses to never read, watch, or engage with anything critical of the Watchtower. Now, that was a pretty powerful statement. Don't get involved with anything that's critical of the Watchtower. He called it spiritual poison. He compares it to drinking from a bottle labeled poison with the cap still on. That's how bad he really looked at it. So I remember that talk, and I remember how much he was against the apostates, but not only against the apostates. David Splain began a rant about the news media and not to believe everything that you hear from the news media. And he really, really went on and on and on about that. And he talked about how it's not telling the truth. Don't believe everything you hear. Don't listen to it because they're going to be very critical of Jehovah's Witnesses and they have nothing to really offer at times. So that's basically what his talk was about. Stay away from apostates and stay away from the news media. And even as far as the court systems, he brought up in his talk, telling the members not to trust court verdicts. Now that was right in that talk. We talked about it. We played a little video here in the Six Screens back in 2021. So not to trust juries, verdicts from the judges, not to trust the media reports. In these are his exact words. And then we find out that they won the case in Norway. Norway was accusing them of losing their charitable status. It was going to be close to $1.5 million a year. They were going to take their registration away from the Jehovah's Witness organization. It didn't mean too much on that. They just couldn't do a marriage in a kingdom hall. But that's all in the past now. Norway went along with the Jehovah's Witnesses, and they actually, on April 30th, 2026, that's just a couple of days ago, they read the verdict, and the verdict, of course, was in favor of the Watchtower. But this David Splain, just getting back to him. So he's calling the courts, Jehovah's enemies, really, and he's calling the courts biased in that talk that he gave. And he's telling the juries it could be stupid, the media is stupid, the media is lying, and he's saying all these things about the court. But now all of a sudden the court comes out in Norway, and they're ruling in favor of the Watchtower, and all of a sudden David Splain, all of those words he gave in the talk go up in smoke, really. So when the courts rule in favor of the Watchtower, the ruling is final. It's definite. It's a vindication from Jehovah himself, and it's published worldwide within hours. Have you checked out jw.org? I checked it out. It was right up there very shortly after this was announced. They couldn't get it up there fast enough. And so the Watchtower here, this is not a theological position. That this is a lying position. They lied to the court. We all know that. I mean, I'm not going to go into that too much tonight. But we're looking here at the pure definition of a double standard. Splain's talk is a pure definition of a double standard. On one hand, he's calling the courts, the juries, the whole media, the apostates, everybody, all of these people. But stay with the court here. He called them basically enemies of God. But now all of a sudden, because they win in court, he can't have enough good feelings for them. But the thing that I want us all to remember here, and I think it's very, very important, is that the Supreme Court ruling was not unanimous. So there's 5 members of the Supreme Court in Norway. Now, 2 of the 5 judges explicitly dissented. They were stating that the shunning practices in the Watchtower constitutes undue pressure on its members and is rule-based requirement intended to be a tangible consequence for those who leave. So 2 of those judges were sharp enough to see the Watchtower does do these things. But the other 3, I mean, you get 3 voting for the Watchtower, 2 not. Well, 3 win. So the Watchtower won the case. So the organization's worldwide announcement didn't mention anything about really the shunning, why they, were really being totally questioned by the Watchtower. They kind of soft pedaled it. I'll read you the comments from jw.org here in a second. But they really didn't mention anything about the shunning rules. And you know what really gets me, and I think it gets all of you guys too, and it really upsets me a lot when I think about it. So prior to this ruling by the Norwegian court, in 2019, when Norway first came up with wanting to bring the witnesses in and question them about their shunning practices, they conveniently softened the shunning punishment, so to speak, that would be given to those who leave the Watchtower. Now, they deliberately got in there and changed things around. We talked about it here, right? They didn't use the word disfellowship. They used the word removed. There was a movie that was a video Watchtower made about a young girl that was shunned and how she was ostracized by her family. That was on jw.org. They took that off. So they prepared themselves. They wanted to make themselves look like, oh boy, we're not hurting people. We're just, we have a right religiously, biblically, to let people who aren't involved in the way we think, to let them go. But I suppose any organization has a right to let anybody go. I mean, even if an employer has a bad employee, he can let them go, right? But you still talk to them. So the Norwegian court, they really didn't get the whole story here. So the Watchtower won. And I'll tell you what, I hope, well, there's nothing, there's no more appeals here. That's it. I mean, that's it. Norway's not going to change their mind. But what I really really find really difficult in, is the Watchtower's double standard. Uh, the courts are unreliable when they rule against the Jehovah's Witnesses. But and in fact, the courts are now an instrument that can further Jehovah's kingdom. So you see how, I mean, they can move both ways with this, and but it all is something that we can all see through it. But I wish the witnesses could see all of this. See, I'm never going to give the witnesses a pass. That is not the particular individual witness. I'm not going to give a pass to the governing body. I will never, ever, ever give a pass to the governing body, or make a single excuse for any members of the governing body or their helpers or the COs or even the elders. They know exactly what they are doing. And I don't have a soft spot from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet for these people in the Watchtower. These people are deceitful, they're scandalous, and they think they think this is great, they won, but really is it? Really is it? Well, would you want to be? Would you want to have to go through life telling lies like that? I mean, right to the court's face, and really, gloating that now you won the game. You didn't win the game. You didn't. And a lot of people online have been putting up that they lost in the court of public opinion. Now, I like that phrase. I can't totally go along with it, but I feel like all of us ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, I feel like we already have won a victory. I really do. I think this victory has been taking place in the last few years, and I'll tell you why. The reason why I feel we've already won a victory is the fact that many Jehovah's Witnesses, the Jehovah's Witness organization, I should say, the Watchtower, was forced by apostates, by you, by me, by all these people you see on YouTube, by all the people who write in the Facebook groups, by all the people that write in Reddit against the witnesses, against the Watchtower. The Watchtower has been forced by the apostates to change very rapidly. Their teachings today, let me just grab some water here. Hold on 1 second. It's trying to dry after a while. Today, the teachings of the Watchtower are different in many ways. I don't have to tell you that. Their teachings are different from just a few years ago. And I'm thinking that maybe it's because of us. Maybe it's because of all of us. And I believe that's the reason. The apostates are right on the trail. And we are now making a real impact in the amount of people who want to be Jehovah's Witnesses. Well, why do they have so many articles? Don't listen to the apostates. Even like that talk that Splain gave. We're all mentally diseased. We're all agents of Satan. But we're getting through. We're really getting through. And I want to commend all of those on YouTube. They're doing a great job. I want to commend those on Facebook and Reddit and all these different places where you can find out so much about the Jehovah's Witness organization. So don't feel in despair. I believe we won the victory. I believe we won the victory. Now I know what they're doing. I know exactly what they're doing. The Jehovah's Witness organization, they are gloating. Oh yeah, they're having fun with it. I mean, they got it right up there in jw.org on how they have won the court in Norway. And it's really something that they're so proud of. And friends, but they're in denial. The Jehovah's Witness organization is in denial. Maybe not the top brass, but a lot of the Jehovah's Witnesses, rank and file, they know what's going on. They know what's going on, and they really deconstructing. Many Jehovah's Witnesses have been deconstructing. They're losing their religion. They can't take it anymore. And really, a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses, they're not going to tell you this. Even your peamy friends who you think are so peamy and so loyal, they're not going to tell you all of this because they're dissecting it right now. They're letting it kind of simmer. They're thinking what's going on with this organization. And they got to really stop and think. And this shunning, it's an evil thing, isn't it? I mean, what is the most valuable thing to you? Isn't it your family and your friends and the people you love? And for an organization to come down the pike and tear that apart, take you away from people that you loved, and not only is it a strain on the person who's being shunned, but I also think it's a real strain and could create some psychological problems for people who are shunning us, our children, our relatives and friends. Think of them. Now they're agents of the Watchtower, so I don't think they're doing this because they don't love us. They're doing it because the Watchtower doesn't want them to associate with us and learn the real truth about the truth. So think of the hardship it is on these ones who are shunning us. They've got to be having roller coaster emotions. How can you really do that? Could you shun your mother? Could you shun your children? I mean, normally, no, you do it because you're under some control of the Watchtower. So, it's a real shame that the Watchtower won. I'm not saying the ex witness is lost. I'm not saying that at all. Because I'm saying that if we keep it up and we keep cranking away at it, we never give in, up or out, I believe that will really make a difference in getting people to leave the Watchtower. While you're on with us, I'm looking for Gilbert and Nadine. Did you get the link? You going to come on the program tonight? Did you get the link? I'm just wondering, is Gilbert with us tonight and Nadine? I wanted to get into the personality contest, not contest, but personality, a personality test that Nadine brought up a couple weeks back, and I wanted to go through that tonight. Where is Nadine and Gilbert? I sent you the link. I don't know where you are. All right. Well, anyways, we'll get into that in a few minutes. But in the meantime, what do you guys think about Norway? I'd like to get your feelings on it. Go ahead, hit *6. Let me know what you think.
I have something, I think.
Yeah, go ahead, Tom. What do you think?
I think that you were spot on. I think that it's very difficult for our loved ones to shun us. I think that they have to question it on a regular basis, but they are forced to, to hide their feelings and they're afraid to, express their concerns and their doubts about, the fact that they don't think that it's right. And they're just doing it because they have to. And I really think that they still love their family. And I think that it's hard for them. But the fact is they have to do it, and so they do. And
well, thank you, Tom. You're right. No, I think about that. I have a daughter that won't speak to me, and I think it's as hard for her not to speak to her father is as hard for me as well to have her shun me. So they also feel some of that emotion as well. Well, thank you, Tom. Thank you for checking in with us. How'd you feel about that decision on Norway? Wow. How'd you feel about that decision on Norway where the witnesses actually won? Yep.
I almost did. I really mixed feelings because it feels like there's some shady stuff going on because it like somebody is paying somebody because it doesn't make sense. It shouldn't have gone the way it went as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
there's plenty of evidence.
Well, thank you. I didn't mention anything about corruption or judges being paid off. I'm glad you did because that's the, I don't want to go on the record to say that's why the witnesses won, but it's really disappointing. The corruption, the deceitfulness that goes on at the higher levels of life. And, I kind of thought the Watchtower would win this, but there was something in the back of my mind thinking maybe they won't. But, when money starts being thrown around, and I'm not saying this is what happened in Norway, but Don't think I didn't think it. And don't think a lot of people listening to this program didn't think it. People can be paid off pretty easily. And it just seems so. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, isn't it a fact that the witnesses actually do as far as politics, they get involved with politics, and they I can't remember the term right now for some reason, but they actually do pay off politicians to vote a certain way.
Oh, well, bribe. They could bribe them. Yeah.
What is that called? I can't think of the term for some reason right now, but I know that they have people that are involved in influencing.
Oh, lobbyist.
Lobbying, yes. Lobbying.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they do. No, they have lobbyists and they can influence. But, I'll tell you, when money starts flying around with these green handshakes, deals can be made, decisions can be made. But I'm not saying that happened. It's just a thought because a lot of people wrote me and told me that. He says, Rick, I think they were paid off. I really think they were paid off. But I'll tell you what, it was very disappointing. But it's okay because I really do think that in many ways, the apostates are winning. I really do. We're starting to get points up on the board. Go ahead, you run with us.
One other thing is the way that they strung it out for so long. They were ready. They waited so long to actually tell us the verdict. It was almost as if they were waiting for some things to be finalized before they could tell us. It wasn't a clear cut.
Well, it was like
it sounded a little fishy. That's all.
Tom, I think it was 6 weeks, and usually when a verdict isn't settled right away, it goes on for days and days and days. And this 6 weeks, I was thinking that, boy, maybe there's a chance. I mean, maybe there's a chance that the Watchtower could lose this. There's a lot of investigating going on here. But I was thinking right along that they would win it. But thank you, Tom, for calling in. Any other thoughts on that at all? Who has a thought on Norway? What do you think? Was it payola? Was it? I don't want to beat up on Norway either. I read something on Reddit, and this one man, he was so upset with the state of Norway that he said it failed. Norway is a failed state. Now, I don't want to say that. He got a lot of backlash on that. But when I stop and think about it, you have an organization that shuns. Does Norway, do they understand what shunning is? It's a terrible, evil practice. You have an organization that covers up child sexual abuse. Do they realize what that is? That's a serious thing. People's lives are affected for the rest of their life. You have an organization that continually has people die from not taking a blood transfusion. I mean, what else do you want, Norway? What else do you want? I mean, you got people here that are pretty bad. And then all of a sudden to rule in their favor, it's kind of like disappointing. I mean, if I couldn't be a judge, first of all, I could not be a judge because there's no way that I could actually have a conscience and allow an organization like this to go on like it is, knowing they're harming people. That would really bother me. I wouldn't be a judge.
Yeah, Rick?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, again, if we look back in the recent history of court cases, I mean, the Australia Royal Commission was a big deal. Everybody talked about it. They had their, attorneys on both sides, and the final conclusion was what? Straighten out your act. Nothing was done. So it was a big show. Everybody thought something was going to be done. Nothing's going to be done. It's the fix is in. However you want to classify that or identify or define that, you can do your own, defining. But the society, as the previous gentleman said, they have lobbyists. Well, what do they have lobbyists for? We know why. I mean, it's pretty clear cut. So, no, I definitely didn't think that the society would lose.
Yeah, right along. No, I remember saying that. Yep.
It's not hard to know or to understand or see what the society does. They have, they've got plenty of literature out there. They wanted to take that literature and say, well, we're going to judge you by what you've done. You know, whatever you put in your magazines today or tomorrow doesn't count. This is your history. This is what you've done. It's very easy to prove. Everybody knows witnesses, fellowship people. And if you're in court and someone says, well, if you don't do these things, then can the society identify and give the definition of this fellowship? You gave it a category, you gave it a name. So what does that mean according to the society? Everybody knows what it means. So, you know, it's the fix is in.
I'm with you. Well, thank you, Steve. Thank you very much. Well, it's appreciate it. So yes, go ahead.
Hey, this is JP. I just was talking to Gigi and Nadine. They said that they're waiting backstage. I don't know if you have the.
Oh yeah, no, I got them. I mean, we're gonna bring them on the. Yep.
The StreamYard?
Oh, yeah.
They're waiting, so I just wanted to let you
No,
know
well, we got them on there. Yeah, we do have Nadine and Gilbert. I do see them there, and we're gonna bring them on. We're gonna do our Myers-Briggs personality test here tonight. So we'll see what's going on with that very shortly. But I just want to clean up on this Norway. Any last thoughts on Norway at all? Now's the time to weigh in. Yeah, go ahead, Ken.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. This is Ken from Michigan here again. I'm not happy about what happened over there too, but I'll come to think of it, and I never thought of it before. I think there was some lobbying involved, and I think there was some money involved, but I don't think, like I said previously, no matter what happens, I don't think it's going to be over. So I don't think, I think they may be crowing, you know, and dancing in the streets with their victory now, but they're not going to be dancing in the streets later on. So I think down the road, we got a chance to do like we're doing here at the Six Screens Network, like just, you know, convicting them in the court of public opinion. And so I think that's what's going to happen down the road. And so we don't have to be we're disappointed right now, but down the road, there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you're optimistic, Ken. That's good. That's well, I feel too that look, there's going to be disappointment, and there's going to be good times as well. And we are getting points on the board. And like Anne Marie said earlier, they might have won the battle, but they didn't win the war. All right, let's go to is that Dick and Constance? I think. Did they want to speak up? Maybe not.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead. Yep.
If you go onto John Ledger's YouTube site, he's suggesting that it's not over yet, that there is another war to be waged in Norway. That's his thinking. And my thinking was when I heard that the apostates lost and the JW governing body won, I was really heartbroken. It really hurt. And then I started thinking, like, you know, they bought people off. You look in this country, there's so much corruption in politics, you know. If the Democrats are in, things go one way and Republicans get hammered. And if the Republicans are in, the Democrats get hammered. And there's so much lying, deceit, fraud, all these different scams. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody, one of the judges, or two or three judges in Norway get bought off. I mean, you know, CSA is pretty damn serious. And the fact is they just fellowship people and the families can't talk to them ever again. They'll be just fellowshipped and make believe they won't be in paradise earth or whatever scam they have going. That's what they believe. And as I mentioned on Anne Marie's program, I didn't realize what the fellowship was till after I was baptized myself. And people that grow up in this cult, they just grow up and it's how you, as you grow up, you just accept these things to be true, that this fellowshipping is the proper thing to do. And it's not. It's cruel. It's wrong to isolate anybody. That's why they want to punish somebody in prison, put them in isolation. It's just cruel. And I think the reason why, I can't prove it, but if my gut tells me that some of the judges in Norway get bought off. Thank you, Rick.
Well, Dick, I like what you said. I really, really do. Because really, when you stop and think about it, those judges, all of them, knew this wasn't something they had to, they're hearing for the first time. It was months, it was years of even ex-witnesses coming forward and telling them what went on in their families and how they were shunned and how they've been hurt and suicides and all of these problems the witnesses caused. So they heard all of this. It wasn't like they were unaware of it. They heard all of this from people who said it, people who experienced it, and still somehow, some way came down in favor of the witnesses. Very, very tough to get. Thank you, Dick. All right.
It's very, very disappointing. Did the judges have any printed comments?
Yeah, they did. They did. Let me see if I can find it. Actually, two of them, they didn't like the decision the other three judges made. Let's see if I can find it quickly here. They did not like the other decisions the judges made. They were aware that what the witnesses were doing when it comes to shunning, it hurts people. It causes a lot of damage in a family. And but the other judges evidently didn't see it. I can't find the ruling here right now, but that's what they said. They didn't agree with the other judges. They had to rule in favor of the watch being a bad organization, but they couldn't get the other judges to believe it. Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. Yeah.
Hi, it's Maverick here from London.
Yes, Maverick.
Yeah, I just got curious as you're looking at the all the judges thing, and I went on jw.org just now. I'm looking at it right in front of me. Excuse me, and I'm just reading. It said this is the Watchtower's version of events, and it said during the appeal process, a panel of 3 judges thoroughly examined our religious practices and Bible-based teachings in direct contradiction of the state's claims that the Court of Appeal determined that limiting contact with an unrepentant wrongdoer who has been removed from the congregation is not a violation of his rights. Now, I just thought when you mentioned 5 judges, why didn't they say there was 5 and 2 of them actually was having a problem with it? They only selected a panel of 3 judges thoroughly examined. That's very, very manipulation of a transparency, as we know they would do. And so I thought it might be an interesting thing that anyone listening to this now, if there's witnesses out there, right, Rick, who will look at this and be curious enough to actually go and check out what the actual court case was all about, the Watchtower's got a problem again, because they now will see all sides of the argument, because technically I'm seeing it like this. They're going to be in a situation where Jehovah's Witnesses, or the organization has given witnesses an actual license to go and check this out. You've published that on your main public-facing website, and you said to the people, "Oh wow, look great, unanimously overturned," and yet there's 2 judges that were in opposition. That's a lie. That's a bold-faced lie. I don't know if this has been already brought out, but I'm just seeing this for the first time. But I just thought to myself, it's going to open up the door for curious PMQs and those who want the truth. And as Stephen Lepp said in one time in the past, he said, "Stick to those who tell you the truth and avoid the liars," or something like that. I remember in one talk he said that. So yes, go and find out for yourselves, people, and exactly what the court was talking about. And you can get affidavits and all sorts of things now and download them and actually check out what's going on. But that's so disingenuous, isn't it?
Well, no, I like how you said.
You mentioned the 3.
I like how you said that. Yeah, because it was 5. It was 5 judges. But you're right. I'm glad you picked up on that. that they only said 3, but there was 2 others. But the Watchtower isn't going to tell you that they won narrowly. They didn't tell you it was totally unanimous. It wasn't. So thank you for that, Maverick. Hey, I'm going to bring Gilbert. I'm going to bring Gilbert and Nadine on right now.
We are live.
That's funny.
Well, no, you're right. Well, you know something. I'm beginning to. I'm beginning to think too, Pixie. Who is really giving us the truth today? I discussed this a lot with Susan and even a lot of people who work with me. Who's giving us the truth? Not many people. We got Nadine and we got Gilbert on with us right now. I want to get their thoughts before we get into the personality test here tonight. Well, let's ask Gilbert and Nadine what they think of the decision here with Norway this week. What do you think, Nadine?
Well, I commented on Anne Marie's show. I don't know if you heard me. I just think it had a lot to do with their ego and that they're narcissists and they don't want to lose to anything.
Well, yeah, no, they are narcissists and they don't want to lose to anything. You're absolutely right. So let's see what Mr. Intellect has to say.
No. I just, it wasn't a surprise. It kind of, I think even Jesse called you, right, a couple of weeks ago and told you that.
Oh, yeah. No, in fact, I was in his same camp too. So were you disappointed? But you knew they were going to win, right, Gilbert?
Correct. Yeah, it was my gut feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll hang in here for a couple minutes with us. We're going to get into that test. Does anyone else have anything else to say about Norway? Well, what's your feelings on it? Do you think this was a victory for us? Do you think that, well, they had to change their position, right, on just fellowshipping? They had to kind of play around with that. So somewhat of a victory for us because I believe the apostates, all of us together, have made the Watchtower change a lot of their rules in the last few years.
Correct.
All right.
There's a lot of people, in the political realm, they always use that phrase, like a 50,000 or 30,000 feet looking down view, right? So when you look, you're right. You have every right to be sad when you're looking at it from a regular perspective. But if you were to go up high and look at the big picture, in a way, it's good because there is a separation taking place right now all over the earth, and we're not part of that club. Like you mentioned earlier, you couldn't be a judge. Yeah, we're not part of the club that can pretend to deny the suffering of disfellowship families, CSA abuse. Yeah, so in a way, it is a win for us apostates because we're not part of Watchtower's club, and evidently they are part of some club. I don't know which one it is, but we're not in it.
It's probably a Mickey Mouse Club. Donald, what do you have to say?
Well, as I gotta say, like I said at the very beginning, yeah, this is a
JP keeps
Watchtower,
texting me.
but look at the big picture. All over the earth,
He said
people
we
are
both
leaving
look
that
nice.
religion. Even right now, even today, I'm sure there's a lot of people who left the religion. So it's still declining, even though
Where's
they
your
won
hand?
Norway. Yeah, it's upsetting that they won, but like was said earlier too, they won the battle, but they haven't won the war. So the war is still going on, and they're losing because people are leaving that religion, and they're leaving because they don't have the truth, and they never will have the truth.
Well, there you go, Donald. All right, well, thank you. All right, so let's get in. I brought Nadine and Gilbert on, and the reason why they're on here with us. The reason why I got them on here is because about 2 weeks ago, Nadine said that she took a personality test, Myers-Briggs, a test.
Yeah, Myers-Briggs.
And let me just, for the audience, because I wasn't too familiar with it, but let me just read the audience here. I got a little narrative on what that is, so that they get an idea. Because you got me really thinking, Nadine, how this could really tie in with Jehovah's Witnesses and us all leaving the Watchtower. So, anyways, the test is called Myers-Briggs. It's an indicator. It's a self-report personality assessment. to identify a person's psychological performances and how they perceive the world and how they make decisions. Well, we all perceive the world differently, and we all make decisions somewhat differently. Some of us are pretty much on the same boat. Now, this test was developed by Isabel Briggs. You maybe don't know her. I never heard of her, but she's the one. Her and her mother, Catherine Briggs, they came up with this test. It's based on the conceptual theories of psychiatrist Carl Jung. If that means anything to anybody, Jung. Okay. So, anyways, let's go with the 4 dichotomies. Now, when you take this test, they assert a letter to you, and these letters have meaning, and well, we'll get into that. But what this test actually categorizes, there's actually 16 distinct personality types based on their preference across 4 key areas. Now, if you're listening to this, it's going to be quite fascinating because I'm sure everyone out there is thinking, well, what areas do they really look at, and do they really have meaning? Well, the first thing that we look at, and we all knew this from young children, really, we knew who was extrovert and we knew who was introvert. So what this test does is they're going to give you an E. They're going to give you an E versus an I if you're an extrovert. And that's kind of, but when you answer these questions, you got to do it honestly. You don't want to cheat. Just do it honestly. So then also what's also important here is sensing versus intuition. Now, there's a vast difference between sensing something and intuition. So they have letters assigned to that as well. If it's an S, it's sensing. If it's an N, it's intuition. So that's also something. They also want us to grade ourselves on our thinking ability, on thinking versus feelings. There's a difference there too, isn't there? You can think things, or you can have a feeling toward things. And so I found this quite fascinating. We took it the other day. I did. Susan took it as well. And then the last position that this test brings us into is judging versus perceiving. Do we judge or do we perceive? And how we approach the outside world. And these are things that we were going to go over here tonight. So anyways, Nadine, I'd like you to step forward first.
Okay.
And I would like you to explain to the audience, and if anyone out there in the audience has taken the test, we suggested to you guys last week, if you took this test, and let me just go back here for a second. I want to talk just for a second about what the Watchtower teaches about a personality. In other words, what they teach is that when you become one of Jehovah's Witnesses, your personality is going to change. It's going to become more biblically based. You're going to be more honest. You're going to be more godly. You're going to get away from the evils of the world. And for many, that's what happened when they became Watchtower persons, Watchtower Jehovah's Witnesses. So they did change their personalities. But what got me thinking, Nadine, is when you brought this up, is the fact that, okay, my personality, I think, stayed pretty much. I was born in, so I think it was pretty much. But there are people, I've seen people come into the Jehovah's Witness world that were pretty crude people, big time gangsters even. And they kind of, at least on the surface, looks like they straightened their life out. So their personality did change. But then I'm also thinking about, did our personality change when we left the Watchtower? So these are things I wanted to kind of focus in on tonight. So Nadine, you get the floor.
Okay.
Tell the world what type of a personality is Nadine.
I'm an ENFJ. So I'm extroverted and intuitive with feeling and judgment.
All right.
I'm very similar to you, Rick, but you're going to have to say what yours is. But what I was thinking is, I think your personality is always your personality. It's just the witnesses, when you're a Jehovah's Witness, they want you to put on the new personality, which is what they want you to think and believe. So our personalities naturally get suppressed. That's what I really believe. But I think our personalities are our personalities. And I don't think we can really change them. We are who we are. And nobody, I think, can really change them.
And that note, my question is,
Yes, dear.
why? Yes, dear. That's fine. Got her trained already. Why is it important that everyone listening? Because there's some people, come on, face it, they don't want to take this test because they're out there mowing the grass, fixing the car. They're guys, is macho. I don't want to do stuff like that. It's But why do you? I did it, and I'm glad I did. What I'm saying, why do you think it's important that people take this test?
Well, I just think it's knowledge, right? And then you can understand yourself better, and you can understand the people in your lives better. Like I understand Gilbert a lot better now. Just by taking that test. And I've also given it to a lot of my girlfriends. In fact, I think a few of them are watching. I think my friend Marilyn and I think Diane's watching. So hi guys, thanks for, I think they are because they were texting me. But they took the test and they just, it's so true. Like I read it and I go, oh my gosh, these are my friends. This is exactly who they are. And I was reading Gilbert's and it's like, oh boy, that's Gilbert for sure too. And I'm understanding myself better too. And I took this test years ago, but it had been, quite a while ago. And I took it again and I'm the same. I'm the same personality. But what I was going to say is now that I'm not a Jehovah's Witness, my personality is the same, but it's completely in full blossom now. And I can really, truly be who I am. But I think I was that personality when I was a witness, but it was suppressed, just like squashed down. And it was always trying to come out. But, there were circumstances where it had to be pushed back down again, because of my mother, but, because I had to live up to what she wanted. And that's another whole big, long story.
That's interesting because there was a TV show and I never watched it, my brother did, but it's called, and she's describing it. It's just 2 words. I'm just thinking about this. It's called Arrested Development. And that's the Jehovah's Witnesses in a nutshell. It's arrested development. It's kind of like a bonsai tree, right? You give it very little bit of dirt, it can't grow. It's arrested development. And so that's what she's describing is once you leave the Watchtower, then your personality, it's like getting that bonsai tree and putting it in the ground. And now it's 20 feet tall.
Yeah. And when
let me ask you this, Nadine. Now let's just give us the letters now. And it's generally 4 letters, right? Yeah. So give us your letters again and let's go through each letter, okay?
Okay. I'm an ENFJ.
So as far as the E, how do you look at yourself? I mean, we know what that would mean, but
I'm extroverted, which
you're extroverted versus introverted. We can see that. There's no question about that. And then if we move down, what's the next letter you are?
Intuitive.
You're intuitive. So you believe you have intuitiveness. I think women have that more than men.
Yes.
I think they have to be more intuitive. So you do have that. Now let's move down to the next letter.
F, feeling.
So you have feeling, you feel more than you would think. Yeah. In other words, you're okay.
But but I can also put on my thinking hat also.
All right. Well, all right. Now let's move down to the 4th position.
J.
So that's J. So are you judging? Are you so you're a J, so you're a judging person.
I'm J. Yeah.
Yeah. So now what were some of the people that, when you take this test, they give you some personalities that we all are familiar with that had the same sequence of letters. So who was in your group?
Well, I think it was Martin Luther King Jr. and Oprah Winfrey and Barack Obama. But I think with Barack Obama, he was good with people, right? Like he could stand in front of a crowd and talk. And Oprah too. She would interview people and they would tell her their problems. And that happens to me, all the time. My friends call me and I just really want them to talk about themselves to me. I don't really want to talk about myself too much. I just always say, what's going on with you? Like, what's going on? Who are you talking to now? What guy are you talking to now? Are you going to go see him? My friend, she's always on the internet with dating. And I'm like, tell me about it. I want to hear about it. And I don't really like to talk about myself that much.
Well, no, I see
Other
that. No.
people. I'd rather hear about other people
Well, I see that. Did you do?
because it keeps my mind off of what's going on with me and bothering me. I just rather hear about other people.
Well, there you go. Well, you were very enthused about Gilbert taking it, so we're going to move on to Gilbert now.
Oh
So
yes.
do we have Gilbert's? Do we have his letter structure here? What's he got?
Yes. He's an INTP.
So he's an I. He rather than well, wait a minute here. He's not an extrovert. He's an introvert.
No, he could be like half and half because he comes alive a lot when he's on, YouTube.
Yeah. Well,
He's
that's
very expressive.
I mean, if someone just asked me, I think it was an act, but that's okay. But introverts, being an introvert isn't a bad thing.
But here, the thing is this: Gilbert, being an introvert, he's quiet a lot, where he's always in his brain thinking. So, but when he's on YouTube or talking with his friends, he can be extroverted.
All right.
So he could possibly be, I don't know what his percentage was for being an introvert, but he could be almost half and half, maybe. But he is more of an introvert.
I first met Gilbert upstairs in 2017.
Yeah.
It was up there in Warwick, New York, at the big protest we had up there. And I remember meeting Gilbert for the first time. I've heard of him, and I never really got to meet him. And at first, I thought he was a deep thinker. I did. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that in view of the test I'm taking here tonight, but I thought he was a deep thinker. I said, boy, this guy really thinks deep. And he was getting into a pretty complex subject there with another man at the table. And I'm saying, wow, this guy really, he's getting some pretty deep stuff. So would that be, well, what letter would we use for that? Would that be sensing or would that be intuition?
No, he's intuitive.
He's intuitive.
He's an IN. So he's intuitive. And then the T is thinking because he thinks all the time. So like, I think when he gets up in the morning, when he first opens his eyes, his brain is swirling around with things in his mind. Is that true, Gilbert? See?
Oh, I think it is. See that? Look at he's blushing on us. He's blushing.
And sometimes I'll ask him a question and he doesn't hear anything that I'm saying. And then he'll go, what did you say? I'm like, oh, forget it. Because like, if you're not listening, forget it.
Yeah, well, we gotta get him to listen. He
does listen once in a while, but I have to like.
He listens to Jesse. He listens to his brother all the time.
Well,
his big brother.
Maybe sometimes.
All right.
And then he's the P, which is perceiving.
So he's more of a perceiver than a judging.
Right. I believe that because he says, oh, I don't judge anybody. No, you can do whatever you want. I don't care. So yeah, he's a P.
All right. So give us somebody that, was there any celebrities or personalities we know that Gilbert would be like?
Well, so I looked it up. I know I sent it to you last night. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, I did, but I want you to tell me.
Albert Einstein.
No, not here.
And Abraham Lincoln.
Oh my goodness! Now that, Bill Gates is another one.
Oh, Bill Gates. That's right, Bill Gates.
Well, I'm thinking. I mean, being of the same personality sort as Einstein, I think you'd have to wear that as a badge of honor.
I know. I know. He is smart. He's smart.
Yeah. Well, that's a wonderful thing. Yeah. So I've got mine here. Susan's got hers. And if there's anybody online In fact, is there anybody listening into this call tonight that took the test? I'm just curious before we get into our own personalities here. Is there anybody out there that has taken this test and got some information to share with us? Uh, I mean, I never really heard of this test before Nadine brought it up. I must have been under a rock. Is that you? Is that you, Constance?
Personality type.
Did you take the test, Pixie?
Yeah, there's only 4% that have what my score is, but I think Gilbert's in the 1% type.
I'm sorry. So what was your number? What was your letters?
Mine is ENFP.
All right.
Only 4% have that, but with Gilbert, I think only 1% have the I and the P.
Yeah, I mean it's that rare, huh? Well, he is a rare character.
He is. He is.
All right. Go ahead.
His job should be, did it say what his job should be? I took it twice and got the same score years apart, and it said I should be a journalist or a priest, and I'm in both of those things. So what did Gilbert say he should be?
I should be a minister, but
Yeah.
because it makes a lot more money as a. I was just in the wrong religion, you know.
Well, I've read Gilbert's personality extensively, and he has all these great ideas. He's the brains behind it, and then he would have to put it forth to somebody else to have, to get it going. But he has the brains for it, but he just has to.
But no brawn. Yeah, my brother Jesse has
You have
a
to
lot of
push
brawn,
it.
yeah.
You have to.
Yeah, I wish hold on, Pixie. Hold
He'll have the idea.
Hey, Pixie, hold on. We got a lot of people here. Go ahead, sir. What did you say? You're on with us.
This is Jesse. I just want to say this test was a scam. I took it. I passed it. I aced that test. I just want to say it's a scam.
Well, what? You say it's a scam, Jesse, but I mean, are you jealous because your brother got a higher score or something, or what?
Yeah.
Hey, Rick, tell us about your. Tell us.
Well, I want to save Susan and I for last year.
Oh, okay.
Because I mean, I was shocked. I was shocked who they like it. Me too. In fact, I've been having a hard time sleeping. In fact, the last couple.
Oh
of
no.
Hey, Rick, I just want to mention my brother Jesse. Like he doesn't like stuff like that, the macho thing. But like this test, you'll never see it at the Kingdom Hall, like in the service meeting, for one reason and one reason only, because Jehovah's Witnesses don't like people, and you have to actually like people to do this test. Now, let me give you an example. Remember in the reasoning book, it would say, approach the householder and then ask him this question. And when he finishes with his response, come back and hit him in the head with this. See, as Jehovah's Witnesses, you're never taught to really care about what Rick thinks. Like, I just want to know what you think and just let it go. We were always taught from the platform and through the field service to not care what other people think. And so that's one of the neat things about this program is that it kind of makes you care. This is why Jehovah's Witnesses don't take this test at the service meeting. But it would be good because you actually have to care about other people to take this test because you see the value in it. Like you mentioned at the beginning, how there's different personalities doesn't make you good or bad. It's just you're just different.
Yeah, in fact, I was thinking too that when I left the Jehovah's Witnesses, I believe my personality changed.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really do. I when I was a witness, I was very judgmental, and I think they teach people to be judgmental. I think people can be taught that. They really can.
I was judgmental.
So I'm still a little judgmental, but not as much as then.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
the J for judging, Rick, could also mean like you're questioning like a decision that you made personally. Like,
Right.
oh, did I make the right decision? So you're judging yourself too. It's not that we're just judging people constantly all the time. But I can tell you that when I walk into a room full of people, I can scan the room really quickly, and I get really strong vibes
Yeah, I don't.
from like, okay, that person looks like I could, have a conversation with that person. That person doesn't look like I will. So I can scan the room pretty quickly. And
Oh, no, that's a good thing to do. In fact, Susan,
Yeah.
I got a few questions here that she asked. We
Okay.
won't go through them all because I got like 100 of them. But that was one of the questions. When you walk into a room,
Mhm.
when you walk into a room, do you prefer to kind of associate with people you know, or do you prefer to associate with people in that room that you don't know?
One.
Yeah.
I can do both. I can multitask.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can talk to people that I know very well, and then I can meet new people also. I can do both.
Yeah, well, that's
I
that's
can
it. So
do both.
I take a neutral position on that.
Mhm.
I feel more comfortable when I would go into a room, and you walk in. Sometimes you walk into a room, you feel like the third monkey on Noah's Ark.
Mhm.
You're not
Right.
really, you're not really fitting in. So
Mhm.
you kind of gravitate toward people that you know, and kind
Right.
of get into the groove a little bit, and you start
Mhm.
widening out a little.
Yeah.
It's just a human reaction. But that
Right.
was one of the questions. Yeah.
Yeah. I will
No,
do that. I will do that. But I'm also able to meet new people and strike up conversations
Well, see,
easily.
that's a good thing. I think see, now I know that for a fact that Jehovah's Witnesses helped us all to do that. I mean, if you go out and knock on a door
Mhm.
and talk to a complete stranger and try to convince them that you have the truth,
Yeah.
you got to start warming up to people and be able to do it. So I think the witnesses taught us how to do that.
But I didn't like going out in service, and I didn't want to talk to anybody at the door. I'd rather talk to a total stranger at the grocery store.
Right, but you were being trained. Boy, I'll tell you, no, you look back and doing that, that's a tough thing to do.
I
You
know.
you can't. I mean, they had older women, older guys, young people, kids. I mean,
Mhm.
that's a tough thing to do, is go out
Right.
and knock on a door and
I did
you're in
not like it, Rick. I did not like it, and I was so happy when nobody answered the door.
Yeah. Well, I think most witnesses were. Some
Mhm.
people, I remember some people would make believe they were ringing the doorbell. Nobody's home. Let's go.
Yeah,
I mean,
bye.
they played
And I
off.
wouldn't wait very long on the porch. I'm like, okay, let's get out of here.
Yeah. All right. Did we have someone? Did someone else want to come in and give us their thoughts on this? Did anybody out there take the test? And even if you didn't take the test, can you tell us a little bit about you? Just tell us. Are you a judging person? Do you think, or do you have feelings? Susan, you want to come? Susan wants to come in. Okay, move your seat over here close. Move your seat over. Susan's going to come in here now. She's the one. She sat me down the other day.
Oh, there's Susan.
Yes. Who's this?
Rick?
Yes. You're on. Go ahead. Who is this? All right. All right. Did you want to speak up, sir? I can hear you. Okay. All right, Susan. Susan, can you guys hear me all right?
Mhm.
All right.
Maybe Nadine could help me understand these because I don't know.
All right. Well, Susan took the test. Susan, you want to speak up nice and loud here?
I am an INTJ.
INTJ.
And Rick is an ES.
Well, let's go with that later. Okay, let's just do one at a time here. All right. All right. So anyways, let's go. Let's go.
All I know is that I'm less than 1% of people in the United States.
All right. Well, let's first of all focus on the ITNJ. Is that what you are?
INTP.
TP.
No, INTJ.
INTJ. All right. So this shows us that you're an introvert. Is that what's showing here? Susan's an introvert. Are you, Susan?
No, I like to be in the background. I don't like to, be in the forefront. I like to help and I like to do a lot, but I don't.
You'd rather be an introvert. That's all right. No, nothing wrong with being an introvert. All right. So so let's go with an I, and now you were an N. So you're well, I will say intuitive. And as I said earlier, most women are intuitive. There's no question about it. I think it's kind of built into their system. When it comes to men, in fact, women always have, when they're younger and certain men coming up to them and trying to get them to be their girlfriend. Right off the bat, sometimes you guys can pick up on the fact that I don't like this guy, or I do like this guy. The case with you and Gilbert, Nadine, right off the bat.
Right.
See, but other people would say, I'm not, I don't like that. So Susan, you're an introvert. You had good intuition. You thought I'd make a good husband, which I have. Yep, yeah. that, that's good. So now let's move down to the next point, to Susan. You're a T, so you're a thinker rather than a feel. I do agree with that.
Yeah, me too.
So Susan, really, I've said to Susan before I even got involved with this test, she's very analytical, and I know Gilbert, you're on that same category. You're very analytical. You got to put the pieces of the puzzle together. You're just not gonna get it on a feeling. You got to think through it and get it right. In fact, Susan's 3 letters are the same as yours, Gilbert. So how about now judging and perceiving, Susan? Where do you stand with? You're a J, so you're a judging person. I'll go with that. No, it's nothing wrong with being a judging person. Now, what I wanted to see here, though, is who are you liking to, Susan? What? Well, she wasn't happy. She's not too happy with the people that she's.
Who's that?
Bill Gates, I think.
Go ahead. Who?
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates.
Nikolai Tesla.
Nikolai Tesla. Nikolai Tesla.
Elon Musk.
Okay, Elon Musk.
Stephen Hawking.
Stephen Hawking's. And Mark Zuckerberg. Well, I mean, I think that's a pretty impressive repertoire of pretty smart people.
I'm impressed we have 2 of those people on the panel right now, because that's the rarest personality type there is.
Yeah. So in other words, but in fact, when she said Elon Musk, I says, well, geez, he's the richest man in the world. He's no dumbbell. He must know what he's doing.
And how innovative he was, how he invented stuff from scratch that nobody could even comprehend.
Well, that's right. In fact, people always attribute Edison as the inventor of electricity, but more people will say there was actually Tesla. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
What was your score?
Well, I'm kind of saving. I'm kind of embarrassed, really.
Right, go ahead.
How many combinations are there?
There's 16. There's 16 different personality types.
Go ahead, Zachary, I believe. Yep.
Yeah, I just had one little thing to say. Since I only had one psychology course years ago, and generally it is said that people who were elders never had psychology. But there was one word I remember. Nadine said that Gilbert is both introverted and extroverted. And there was
I said possibly. I said possibly.
Okay.
Allegedly. No.
Okay, so you had your observation too. So the word that's used for a person who has some introverted is that way, and also extroverted is an ambivert.
Right.
Well, see, this is the thing, and this is the thing. I can be by myself for like a month. If I was in solitary confinement, a walk in the park, I'm okay. So why are you extroverted? Well, I hate to say it, but I know there's a job to be done. So like if I'm on YouTube, I got to get the job done, do the job. But then afterwards, I mean, I'll do it. If I have my choice, I could be alone in the desert, in the wilderness, like John the Baptist, I'm okay. And I got that after I left the Jehovah's Witnesses. I really found inner peace getting the hell away from the Kingdom Hall, not listening to anybody speak. It just, and I used to work the graveyard, and I found contentment in being alone. And very few people are content being alone.
Are you content being alone now?
No. I'm just saying that. So an extrovert is because I got to get the job done. Like I'm not going to sit in a corner and do a YouTube thing and it's a job. YouTube is a job. Rick Farron is doing a show. It requires work. So in that aspect, I may be an extrovert. But when it's all said and done, yeah, I find peace and talking, and all I say now is just Father, and I just talk to God. If I see a tree, if I see a dog, I'm just by myself, and it all happened when I told the elders. I gave them the middle finger and walked out of the hall, and I never looked back. I enjoyed being alone. And no, I'm happy, but that I hope that answers your question.
Well, it does. In fact, what we might even do is, Susan, do you have some of the questions there that you asked me? No questions? Oh, it's on the computer. All right. Well, that's okay. Well, I'll get some questions. But how about anybody else out there? Did anybody else take the test? I'm just curious. Yes.
Hi, this is Constance. Hi, guys.
Hi, Constance.
Hi, Gigi. Did you want to say something first?
No.
No.
You're over here describing those guys, man cave.
Okay.
Who put that?
So I took it, and let's see, my
So I
score
guess-
is ESFJ. And so I'm extroverted, observant, feeling, and there's judgment. I do judge myself a lot.
So, Constance, did you say you're an ESFJ?
Yeah.
ESFJ. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So we're very similar.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. Except for the N and the S, but we are very, very similar. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
And usually, like if somebody in the relationship is an extrovert, they're usually attracted to an introvert, and the introvert is, usually it's the opposites. That even though Gilbert doesn't want to admit it, but
that makes sense.
yeah.
It's common
I
sense,
asked, Chad or Chat GPT. I asked, okay, so what is the personality that my personality is the most attracted to? And so it come up, and it was the INTP, which is Gilbert. And then I asked Chat GPT. I said, well, who is the INTP attracted to the most? And it's my personality. And it is true. And we have like the push and the pull type thing going on here. So, but Gilbert likes to say he likes to be alone, but that's not what he tells me.
Right.
But yeah, but he is an introvert.
Well, now, Constance, tell us a little bit about yourself now. So give us those letters again.
Okay, so it's E for extrovert, but that's 52%. So, it's very interesting. I've lived the majority of my life alone, so I have absolutely no problems being alone. I enjoy my own company. I really do. But then, there are times when I really enjoy being around people and being extroverted. So my score on extroverted was 52%. So I can totally relate to what Gigi's saying. It depends on how you feel, what's going on.
Right.
So sometimes I just really like to be alone. I like to just read a book.
Me too.
Anyway, so that's that. Observant was 68%. And I think in a way, to me, I think being observant, Nadine, you can tell me if you agree with this or not, but I think the way I look at observant is basically, being intuitive to some extent, because I can really tune into people's emotions, people's feelings, or even if they're not able to really express their thoughts on something or how they feel, I can really, really tune into that. Or if people are in a lot of pain, I'm very empathetic. So I don't know, that's how I look at observant. I'm not quite sure if that's how to interpret this, but
Yes.
that score came out to be 68%. And then feeling feeling was 54%. And judging, I'm not really judgmental of other people, but I am very hard on myself. That I do know. I've always been that way. I expect a lot from myself, and I'm 99% on that. And then there was a -A, and they said that was assertive, and that came up as 82%. So that was my score.
Well, that's a good score. That's I mean, there's really no who did you say you would be like? Did it say that, Constance?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. Was there somebody that it mentioned in the study? Because I have no idea who that would be. I just know I really love people. I have a real soft heart when people are in a lot of pain, and people are hurting. So,
Well, now is that the same? Does she have the same as mine? Yes or no? Yeah. In
Mhm.
fact, Constance, you have the same letters that I have.
oh, really, Rick?
Yeah, I can say same ones. Yeah. And
Maybe it's because we're Irish.
yeah. So that kind of said, well, I'll tell you, no, when I took it the other day, it must have been about 100 questions that Susan asked.
Who's that? Who's the ENFJ?
But what I found out
It's
here
good.
is that anyway, so we have the same, but they gave some personalities, celebrities, some celebrities that we would be like.
Hey, Rick. Speaking of that,
Yeah.
so I asked Nadine. I go because I wander off, and so I decided to go to ChatGPT, and I says, hey, if Jesus took this test, what would his letters be? And it says ENFJ,
Which is me.
and that's I guess so.
See,
So
you're so lucky.
so she has like a Jesus's personality. Yeah.
That's
So-
right.
so-
Don't you forget it.
Well, well. I'll tell you what. If there's anyone that you'd want to emulate, that would be Nadine. You hit the jackpot here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better than who I got represented by, Mr. Rogers.
Oh my God! No, that's about right.
Yeah, you really, Rick, because you like to include everybody in the community.
Mother Teresa.
I'm also Mother Teresa. I mean, that's good. She was good, Mother Teresa. And
Because Rick,
lady, the Princess Diana, Prince William. Prince
Oh, yeah.
William,
yeah.
Larry King,
Yeah.
Oh, I love Larry King.
Whitney Houston. We love
wow.
her,
And Hulk Hogan.
and Hulk Hogan.
Oh
Hulk
boy.
Hogan.
Hey, Rick,
Yeah.
remember Mr. Rogers
Yeah.
always said, won't you be my neighbor? And so that's what you do on 6 screens. You have everybody gather around and you like community and they're all your neighbors.
Boy, she's making me look good, man.
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, well, thank you. Gilbert's usually the only one that makes me look good, but Nadine's making me look good tonight too. Yeah.
Wow. All we need to get you is a sweater.
Yeah.
No, it's
Well,
true.
A
It's
red
true.
sweater. I should have had one to put on. That would have been funny. Yeah. Yeah.
It's very true. And I was also reading about your personality, Rick, and that you like to make people feel very comfortable and you like to make them feel, you're very hospitable. Because I know when I went to Boston, and when I finally got to the hotel room and it was raining and it was really late, you had your driver guy, you gave him some money and you're like, go out and get Nadine something to eat. Remember that? He went to Wendy's. And so you take care of people. You want to make sure they're happy. And so you're just you're like Mr. Rogers.
Well, when we picked you up at the airport, it was pouring rain. As a matter of fact, we had 2 inches of rain that night. They canceled flights coming in from Boston. About 20 people couldn't make it to the convention because of that. They got stranded. But you were all nerved up, obviously. This is your first time up in Boston. You flew up here by yourself. And that takes a lot of courage in a blinding thunderstorm and cars and traffic. And even the guy had driving down to pick you up, he was so, I thought he was going to quit on me. He said, don't ever send me into Boston again in a thunderstorm. So he picked you up, and I'll tell you what, but really, the first time we met you, they said the poor girl, her first time into Boston, she's a little
Yeah.
afraid. But you certainly warmed everything up there, Nadine. Everyone got to love you, so that was good. That was good. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Rick.
Well, it was good. So anyone else out?
Very, very.
And she's very, in fact, I have to tell you, very friendly. Yeah, very friendly. It was very nice. You get to meet people. You're walking around talking to people. So that was very good, Nadine. Very good. We all had a good time. All right. So, anyways, anybody else out? Who's this?
Hi, Rick. This is Apostle today, Linda James.
Pasta.
A while back.
Did you take it? You got your letters?
Right. I haven't taken it recently, but I took it a while back, and I just texted my roommate because I knew she would remember too. I am an INFJ.
Oh. You're just like me, Linda, but you're the I instead of the E.
She's very close to Pixie. You and Pixie. She's very close to Pixie.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, you.
Yeah, I did think Pixie.
She's closer to my personality.
All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about those letters. Do you follow suit on those?
That's what my friend Marilyn is.
I remember, so I took it in college, and then I took it a bit later. And in college, I was more extroverted than I was introverted. But when I took it the second time, I could tell I was borderline introverted, extroverted, right there on the borderline. I could go either way.
Well, I see you more as an extrovert today, Linda. I really do. I mean, you're not afraid to get out there and talk to people. It's hard for a woman to do that like you do, but you do it. Yeah.
And I enjoy doing it when I do, but like Gilbert was talking about, he could be alone for and be just fine. I can do the same thing. The thing about being an introvert, you know, a true introvert and a true extrovert, if they don't have that time to be able to be their personality, it will drain them. Like they'll run out of gas. If an introvert has to be social a whole lot, that will drain them. Like they have to go be by themselves to fuel themselves and then be able to go back and socialize. Otherwise, they'll run out of gas. And it's the same way the other way around.
Well, that's interesting thought on that.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's your next letter?
That's true.
And Nadine, can you remind me what the N stands for?
Introverted. Oh, no.
No, it's
intuitive. Intuitive.
Intuitive, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely intuitive. And I think that's one of the things that a mentor or an abusive partner will have you decide or not pay attention to your intuition. You'll get punished or negative consequences for acting from your own intuition. So there's that. And then F, I believe, is for feelings.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'm a feeler.
Yeah, we go off our feelings a lot, Linda.
Yeah, and I'm very like empathetic for other people's pain and what they're going through, you know. And then judgmental, yep. And like Connie says, I'm more, very judgmental of oneself. And I'm glad you explained that too, Nadine, that it can also be, how you see yourself as well.
Yes. And we're hard on ourselves too. Like we're judging, like, did I make the right decision? Yeah.
And at the same time, you're the kind of people that want justice. So when we see injustice, it really is tough for us to watch happen.
Right.
We want things to be, we want them to be right,
We want things to be fair. We want things to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my question would be like, why would like a religion like Watchtower not want to talk about this in their meetings, have their people take this test?
I have the answer.
Because I would think like, if I had a church, I would want everybody to take this test because it's one, everybody could talk, everybody could share. But why do you think? But go ahead.
Well, because they want everybody to have the same personality. Mm-hmm. They want you to put on the new Jehovah's Witness organization personality. They don't want you to be an individual and have your individual thoughts and ideas and be who we were born to be. We were born a certain way.
Well, independent thinking is the only kind of thinking. You can change behaviors, which often people do,
Mhm.
and sometimes it benefits them to change behaviors, but we can't really change our personalities.
Right. Our personality, that's what I was saying in the beginning, is our personality. And we're really born with it. In fact, I was reading, this was a long time ago, our personalities are formed by age 4.
I believe it.
Yeah. And
Believe it.
yeah, from like, when from the time we were born up to like we're 4 years old. That's who we are. That's our personality. So, and I did not really get to be my full self as a Jehovah's Witness. I was always trying to please and I believe, with all the brainwashing and the indoctrination, we just couldn't be who we really were supposed to be. Not fully. It would come out sometimes, doing things. That's why they call it like a double life, It would come out at certain times. But
Isn't it
then
amazing?
we'd have to rein it back in.
Authentic self.
What was that?
Isn't it amazing that when we are being our authentic self, when it has to do with a cult, that's considered a double life.
Exactly.
A double
No,
life.
but this is really my real life. This is my real life now.
Usually are. Right. So we can't be our authentic self within the organization. That's
Right.
forbidden. If we have any self pursuits that we want to get involved in, which is part of developing our personality, that was always poo-pooed on and told us to hold on to those ideas, and then you can do them in the new system. But right now, keep your mind on kingdom interests and only do activities of kingdom interest. So we made sure our personality could not develop.
Not fully.
Our personality.
The fact that I have perception at the end of mine got me into trouble a lot.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well,
So when people are going door to door, that unbaptized publishers, when they get you to behave in the manner of selling something, if you don't believe in it, you can't sell it very well.
Well, I guess I didn't sell it very well because I didn't. There was a lot of things I didn't believe.
Unnatural.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So to go out and sell something you don't believe in is
Right.
I could sell if I didn't believe in it.
Okay.
I could sell ice cream an Eskimo.
Yeah.
So somebody would experience cognitive dissonance and have to pick one of the two, that makes them be able to function without having two different contradicting mindsets happening at the same time.
Well said.
well, it's all fascinating. Boy, I'll tell you, is there anybody out there that has to share some thoughts with us as well? Did you ever take the personality test? Who would like to take the 6 screens personality test? Any? Well, actually, what I did here is we have our own little personality test here that we came up with. It's, in fact, we're not trying to compete with Myers and Briggs, but it's who would like to take that? Is there anybody?
I'll take it. I'll take it, Rick.
You want to take it, Nadine? Okay,
Sure.
let's ask you this, Nadine. Nadine, what we're saying? Did you ever wash your car if it wasn't dirty?
Would I wash my car if it wasn't?
I said no. Did you ever wash your car if it wasn't dirty?
No, but I would wipe the windows down maybe.
So I'll say no.
So no.
Did you ever walk on black hot top with no shoes?
No.
Oh, goodness.
You did.
So deep.
No, I like wearing shoes.
All right. All right. The next question is, did you ever mow the grass if it didn't need mowing?
No, I never have mowed not one little green little piece of grass in my life.
Did you ever pick a pine cone off the ground and try to reattach it to the tree?
No.
You never did that.
No.
A lot of people have done that. They
Really?
fit a certain personality trait.
Really?
People,
Pardon?
where
A
do
pi-
we find these people?
Like, well,
All right. So you're doing pretty good so far. You're doing pretty
Okay.
good, Nadine. You're answering most of the questions the way you're supposed to answer them.
Okay, good.
But we do have more.
Okay.
Did you ever open up the trunk of a car and wish what was in the trunk wasn't there?
I don't think so.
How about Gilbert? Did you ever do that?
and wish that it wasn't there.
Oh, like a dead body or
Oh,
something?
yeah.
Come up here, like, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, this is being recorded, so I'm gonna say no.
Did you ever walk into a glass door?
Yeah.
I don't think I ever have. No.
So far you get a 90% on this quiz.
Yeah.
So far you get a 90%. And you're doing really, really good.
Yeah.
Did you ever continue listening to a radio station even though it was filled with static?
I don't think so.
Yes, AM 640, LA. Yeah.
No, because I don't like those unusual noises. no.
KFI. Yeah.
I try to block it out.
Like I say, this is the original Six Screens test. Did you ever put air in your tire when it didn't need it?
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, I did.
I had somebody do that for me.
No, she doesn't put air in her tire.
No, I go to the gas station or the tires. I go to one of the tire shops and all the guys will come out and do it. Yeah.
Did you ever buy gum in a supermarket and unwrap it before you saw the cashier?
Probably. Yeah.
All
I
right.
think so.
That's the end of the questions here for the Six Screens test. It's a personality test, but what this shows is you are a perfectionist.
I would like to, well, I think to a certain extent, as much as I can be,
There you go.
but not 100%. You know, I don't go overboard.
Yes.
Question. Rick, you made this all up.
Yeah, Rick made it up.
Well, it does. I mean, if you put
Us recovering previous jobs, we always struggle with perfection.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, you're right.
I have opened a product before I bought it, though.
Oh yeah, no playing people. That's perfectionism. You wanted to make sure it was good before you bought it. You know.
Yeah.
So there you go. You got any questions for us, Gilbert?
No, but see, and I don't want to interject, but I'm going to race into the picture because like Mexican shirt. But Jesse and I, our brains we're retarded, because we're like, I'm not going to open up that bubble gum because I'm a Mexican. I'm going to go to jail. It's not true. It's just not true. But we're paranoid. It's that paranoia. That's why I don't drink, and drive. I don't touch it. It's just because, that's why I don't do drugs or anything. Because if anybody's going to get caught, it's not the other guys, it's me. And we grew up that way in our neighborhood. It's just we grew up as little kids that it's going to happen. And so I was scared. I know it's not true. If I open up the bubble gum, I know I'm not going to get arrested because I'm the Mexican, but it's paranoia that things that you were told when you were a little kid, and
well, maybe next week we'll do the Six Screens paranoia test.
I'm paranoid.
That's
I'm
funny.
paranoid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who would answer those Six Screens questions any different?
That is so funny.
Yeah.
Well, did you ever tell Rick?
What's that?
Did you tell Rick about how I took back the avocado?
Oh, I couldn't believe it.
It's a good story.
Well, no, she went to Trader Joe's and took back an avocado. It's like unheard of.
Because it was rotten.
Because it was
inside.
rotten, and I'm like, it's unheard of, we're Mexicans. We don't take nothing back.
And
They
then
might
I
throw it
told
back at
him-
us or something like.
I told him he goes, "Where's the avocado?" And I said, "I took it back." And he's like, "What?" I go, "Yeah, I sliced it open and it was really ugly inside. So I just took a picture of it."
And Trader Joe's gave her a really nice one.
They give me another one, yeah.
And just the thought, I would never, ever, I would just take the loss and I would just.
I take things back, Rick. If
which is
they're
good,
not
which
good, I take
I'm
them
happy.
back.
I just.
Oh,
I don't
that,
have that
I'm
personality.
gonna incorporate that.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Would you, mhm.
I'm gonna have to incorporate that
Question.
that avocado avocado cutting it in half to make sure it's good before you buy it. I'm gonna have
Because
to
it
put
was
that in.
expensive.
Would you take it back? Would you take it back for a refund? Yeah. If you bought like avocado.
Well, I have taken things back. Yeah, in fact, I bought 5 pounds of hot dogs.
Oh, boy.
About a month ago. They're really good hot dogs, and
Mhm.
so boy, I said these hot dogs just don't taste that great. They don't taste that great. But I mean, it's $15 for 5 pounds. It was a pretty good
Mhm.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've taken meat back before. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you get bad meat, yeah.
But you know what, Rick? Your personality and my personality are so similar. We're very similar, our personality types. Mhm.
Yeah, I think we are, Nadine. Yeah.
Because I'm an ENFJ and you're an ES. You're an ESFJ. So
Yeah.
we're just you're sensing and I'm intuitive. But I was reading about the two of us, and we are so similar. We're so similar. But I can see out into when I make a decision, I can see out into the future. And like if I make this decision, this is what's gonna happen in the future. And you're more detailed on the here and now. But that's really the only difference in our personality.
Yeah, well, I think it's kind of, in fact, I wonder, I don't know if we saw this or not, Susan, but what is the most common personality number, not letters there?
Well, yours is very common.
Very common. Yeah, we're very common, Nadine. You and me and many others in the world are very, very common. Yeah. But Gilbert now, and even Susan here, I don't think that's too common. I mean, these people, less than 1% on Susan's numbers. Yeah, less than 1%. But, it's kind of fun. In fact, go ahead.
When I just now asked my roommate for my letters, she said, "Weren't we the same letter?" And my previous roommate was very, very introverted. She's very behind the scenes, likes to help behind the scenes, and she wouldn't stand in front and deliver anything like I would, and I'm comfortable with it. She would never do that. Just like Susan was saying, she likes to do behind the scenes. She likes to do a lot, but not be the front person. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, very good applause, babe. No, thank you for wanting to come on and giving your thoughts on this too. I appreciate that. Now, is there anybody else out there that has some thoughts to share with us? How about Junction guys? Yeah, you Junction guy, you're on there with us. Go ahead.
Receiving.
Let's go, Dick. Can we go to Junction guy? Don't come back to you. Junction guy, go ahead.
Oh, yes, I was going to say, I started to take the test this week, but I didn't go Briggs-Myers. I just Googled whatever came up, and I got through the test. It wanted my email, so I just immediately stopped. I get enough spam email as it is. I've taken it in the past, INFJ, but there were several questions on there that I couldn't answer definitively. It's like the question, depending on a circumstance or whatever, I would answer the question differently. Now, I is introverted. That pretty much describes me right now where I'm at. But it doesn't, I'm not happy with it. You know what I'm saying? I need social contact. Me as a person, I need to, belong to a group or a community where I feel like I have a part and I have some commonality. I'm thinking, like a true introvert would probably move to Montana, live in a cabin all by themselves. No, that's not me. I actually
No, it's too cold. It's too cold. No, it's too cold.
It's
too cold.
It's not what you tell me.
So the question
It's not what you tell me.
that could have been, gave a different answer,
Okay.
if I'd
I guess I'll
answered the
go
question
back to Orange County.
at that time. The end, intuitive, yes. I call it a gut feeling. I've got a gut feeling something's wrong, or I've got, the feeling part, yeah, to a point. The judging, yes and no. I judge myself. I'm always second guessing my decision. Did I make the right decision? Did I do this right? The judging is more. I'm good at profiling. I can look at people. And I can tell you what kind of music they listen to, how they vote. Just some people would say that's judging, but that's how I'm good at picking up people's, interests and personalities. I'm good at that. What was that? Something else I was going to say, but I forgot. But yeah, so I mean, it's like I have a different personality. When I'm here, I'm an introvert. When I'm on vacation or with family out of state, I'm extrovert. I mean, I go in someplace, I'm working the crowd.
Which one am I?
I'm going around talking to people, see if there's any commonality or something like that.
What is P?
So, and when I believe something, I stand up when I believe it.
Well, something else too that I won't say.
I don't care, if the whole world says I'm wrong. If I feel I'm right, I will stand up and speak. So this is my personality.
Well, no, in fact, I kind of sum it up with you too, Junction Guy. I kind of go along with everything you said. Yeah, you're a unique person. You have, because you used to, I've known you, not personally, I never met you in person, but you used to post on JWN. And I've always taken you, I kind of, even when I heard you for the first time here in the 6 screens, I said, wow, that sounds exactly like the way he writes and what he says. So thank you for sharing that with us. I appreciate it. Thank you, Junction Guy.
You know what's interesting about the judging part is when you leave the Jehovah's Witnesses, you're still one bad judgmental person. You really are. But it's kind of like when you take the pot out of the stove and it's blowing the whistle, the coffee pot,
the teapot,
and then it's a gradual decline. And I've noticed that I was very judgmental even after I left the Jehovah's Witnesses, but it's just a process, and you start noticing that judgmental thing just goes down, So
Good analogy. Good analogy.
I don't know if you noticed that in your person, but
well, the judging also means other things too.
Correct.
We
it
got
means
someone
judging yourself.
Someone else want to come on? Go ahead. You're on with us.
Yeah, Rick.
Oh yeah.
Was it JP?
Yeah, you're on. Go ahead.
Rick.
It's Dick.
I was really nuts about taking this test, but Carter was kind of insistent that I really don't want to take the test. And I looked down, she had up to the breast knuckles on, so I said, I'll take the test. Anyway, my score was kind of different from everybody else's. I think I had all D's, and Connie figured it out. She said it stood for dumb. Dumb, degenerate.
Well, I know you pull on a leg. I would never put you as that, Dick. Yeah, I know he's pulling on a leg. He does that once in a while. But no, the thing is, we all there's 9 billion of us on the planet, and many of us are going to fall into the same category. But I think that's what makes the world go round. If we're all different, if we all had, if we weren't all different, it would be kind of boring, right? So we all get to see different people, meet different people with different personalities. And I think it was really, in fact, I'll tell you what, I was going to McDonald's today for lunch. I was going into McDonald's, and there was a man there, and he waited for me to get out of my car. He had to wait at least 10 seconds, 15 seconds for me to get out of the car and hold the door open for me. So I said, that's pretty interesting you do that. A unique personality. So he held the door open for me. Then he got inside. He says, "I like to do this." He says, "I want to be a doorman someday." And I know it sounds crazy, but that's what he said to me. And so he struck up a conversation, and he was so extroverted, I couldn't believe it. He's talking to the cashiers, he's talking to all the people, and held the door open for another woman that was coming in. And then he came up to see me there when I was sitting there having lunch. He came up to see me and he says, "Boy," he says, "really," he says, "I enjoyed speaking with you." And he says, "I really," and then he showed me his muscles. I said, what do you do for a living?" He says he works in concrete. And he said he was 55 years old. And, but what a unique personality. I mean, he's mingling with people in there, talking with people, showing people his muscles. At first, I thought he was a little crazy, but he was just an extroverted guy, different guy, but different personalities make the world go round. What do you think, Zach?
You know something? You know, what do I think, right? You know, I think I'd be a little afraid of taking this assessment or test or whatever it is, because you know something, if I were to take it, I'd be sitting there wondering, well, what's Hitler's type, you know, or Jim Jones or Bin Laden? I'd be worried mine would match theirs. You know what I mean? You know, as innocent as it could come out. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, no, I do know what you mean. I would imagine that they had kind of weird personality tests when you think about it. Jeffrey Dahmer, for example. I mean, eating roadkill. I mean, what was this guy thinking? Yeah, boy.
Yeah. How many? Let me ask you this: how many different combinations? Is it just 4 letters that you're doing?
There's 16 combinations.
16 combinations, 4 letters. Yeah.
16.
You want to take the 6 screens test? You want to? I got another.
Ask him the avocado question. Yeah.
You know, some evil person.
Zach would take it back.
Zach's an extrovert, I'm sure.
Zach would take the avocado back to the store. I bet you. $20.
Call myself an ambivert. Yeah. Okay, I'm not taking any tests.
Well, we have a special test for you, Zach. Would you like to take a 6 screens test? Okay.
That's so funny. But Rick,
yeah,
Rick, it's Nadine.
Yes, you're kind of laughing. I know she understands. I do have a question for Susan, but I would like to ask it on the after party. Susan didn't seem happy about the people that she matched, and I'm curious as to why.
I was embarrassed.
But you don't.
How could I?
Yeah, don't say it now. We can just after party talk, okay? This is being recorded.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well.
When I took the test, it didn't have any famous people. It just said I should be a journalist or a priest. And the funny thing, I've already worked as a journalist for 20 years.
Pixie, I'll look up who your famous people are.
Remember?
Rick.
You should be a reporter.
Rick.
Yes.
Rick, it's Nadine for a second.
Yes, Nadine. Yes.
Okay. Do you know why I took the avocado back?
You took.
You know why?
Well, why? Well, let me guess. Let's
Okay.
have people guess. In fact,
Okay.
did you take it back because it?
She was making something special for Gilbert.
Susan says we're making something special for Gilbert, and it had to be perfect.
No.
Was it too
No.
highly priced?
Well, but it's the principle. It's the principle that's why.
And she bought it at a Trader Joe's. So Trader Joe's is not your,
Mhm.
rundown store,
And that's why you took the hot dogs back. Is because it's the principle of it.
Right.
That's
right.
why. And those things bother us because it's like it's not fair. It's not just. I shouldn't have a bad avocado.
You're throwing away something you paid for.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Well. No. I mean, everyone should do that. But stores. Stores. I've seen people. I've seen the man bring, in fact, it was right after Easter, and he brought in a ham. He brought in a ham. And
Oh God.
No reason you should feel ashamed of bringing back an avocado.
I didn't. I brought a picture of the avocado.
But if it's not up to par, you know.
I know. I know.
Appreciate that.
I didn't actually bring back the rotten avocado because you can just take a picture of it. Because one time I brought back the rotten avocado. This has happened a few times. And then the guy said, next time, just take a picture of it. It's okay. And I said, okay. So I took a picture of it and then I just showed the picture. I don't even have to erase the picture. So if I have a bad one, I just pull up the picture of the avocado.
Nadine, what about AI?
Yeah.
I took a pound of red beans back to MOM, Mom's Organic Grocers, and they gave me a gift card for $15. I took a pound of beans back because it had bugs in it, and they had to eat the bean pieces, and they gave me a gift card for $15. If it's honest, you always take it back. You know.
Well, right after Easter, I went into the market basket where I shop, and a person had it was a big giant, well, it would have been a big ham, but it was mostly eaten. So we brought it back, and just a few little, pieces left on the
That's
plate.
funny, Gilbert.
So he says, I want to get my money back on this. So the cashier says, we ate 3/4 of it. Couldn't have been that bad, but he got the money back. But there's no problem. No problem bringing an avocado back. Don't lose any sleep over that.
It's the principle of the matter.
I know it is, Nadine. We're just kidding. All right. Well,
You
listen,
have strong principles.
we had fun. We had fun tonight. Now tomorrow, we got Junction Guy coming in tomorrow. He's going to tell his story on ex-Jehovah's Witnesses share their story of being in the Watchtower tomorrow at 2:00. And we have a 6-screen Sunday program. We invite you all to come in. Now, for those that get into theology, beginning at 1:00, we have a program called Knowing God After Leaving the Watchtower. We have 2 Christian apologists who run that program. And then at 3:00, we do JW World News Sunday. If you get Bible questions, Jay Hess is the man. He's on at 5. So come on in tomorrow and be with us on the 6 screens. We want to thank Gilbert and Nadine for coming on with us tonight. We want to thank all those people that spoke up, the people who took the test, and thank you very much for wanting to be part of our night here. We all had a really good time, and thank you, Nadine, for bringing this subject up. It was really good. That was a good subject. So keep up the good work, and you and Gilbert, we hope all goes well with you guys as well. So
Thank you, Rick. I had fun.
We had fun. Keep standing tall. Don't you ever give in, up or out. And the last one leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. We go to the after party. That's a program. We'll leave the telephone lines on. It won't be recorded. You guys want to speak up in there, by all means do so. Thank you, though, for coming into the 6 screens.
Thanks, Rick. I appreciate it.
Okay, I didn't read the comments, so I don't know what they say.
No, she says I'm very